Hello everyone, welcome to week number 6 of the Stained Glass Flower Puzzle Mystery Quilt. If you would like to get the puzzle pieces for this week, the link will be in the description box below. You will also find a link for the complete playlist for each and every video that we've created along the way. Stay tuned to see how I use wet glue in this week's puzzle pieces, and I look forward to spending some quality time with you this week. Stay tuned. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. Today we're going to go over the puzzle pieces for week number 6 of our Stained Glass Flower Puzzle Mystery Quilt. So I have all of my fabrics ready to go. You can see my color palette for this week. This week we are working into row number 6. And so you can see block A6 is a solid piece of fabric, so we won't be doing anything with this fabric. But then we have applique in the remaining 5 other blocks, and so that's what we're going to go over today with the puzzle pieces. Today I'm going to be using a wet glue. If you've watched any of my very beginning videos on YouTube, you've seen how I do raw edge applique with freezer paper using Elmer school glue. Same concept, I'm just using a different glue. And so I'm going to walk you through doing the applique with the wet glue today. And I have a fun little package to share with you at the end. My good friend Ann Thompson sent me something really fun. So if you like doing junk journaling and scrapbooking and things like that, then you'll want to stay tuned to see what she sent me. And yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And let's see. Yeah, week number 6. Can you believe it? I really enjoyed watching the slideshow from last week, seeing everyone's progress on the quilts. I know that it is very inspiring to see all of the different quilts so far, so I really appreciate everyone who sent in a picture. So let's go ahead and go over the puzzle pieces before we get started. We're going to start with B6. You have 2 pieces of the leaf that come down. Right in this bottom right hand corner is just background, so you can see it comes right in right before we get to that corner. C6 has part of the stem that comes up and part of a leaf. D6 has stem and a small part of leaf. And you can see we're all using green fabrics for the rest of this quilt. Piece number E6 is part of a leaf, and then F6 is right in this upper left-hand corner with piece of, I guess that is a stem. It might be part of a leaf. We'll see as we go along. I forget now. So those are our puzzle pieces. What I think I'm going to do is go ahead and fuse or make my little applique pieces and cut them out. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how I use the wet glue to adhere my applique pieces onto my background squares. Now I'll be 100% transparent. Up into week number 4, I used a glue stick. And I like the glue stick. You would think using a wet glue would be more messy. However, the way that I work, this is actually a lot less messy for me. And so last week I did transition into using the wet glue, and I had a much easier time doing the applique portion. And I am using the Elmer's glue all. In my earlier videos I used Elmer's school glue. You can use them both. However, I think this one is a little bit stronger than the school glue version. And it does wash out of your quilts, and so if you are interested in glue basting your quilts that get washed, all of it does come out if you wash your quilt. And you can stitch through this. It's all nice and dry by the time we bring it to the sewing machine. And so, yeah, you can totally use this on your quilts. And for me, it is a lot easier and less messy. That might not be the case for you. You might prefer the glue stick. I'm going back to the wet glue. So that's what I'm going to do today. So if you've never seen this wet glue with the applique, then you'll find this portion or this week's video pretty interesting. So yeah, let me go ahead and pause the video. I'll cut out all of my applique shapes, and then we'll walk through at least the first couple of blocks, and then I'll do some stitching off camera probably to save some time, and then we'll come back once all of the satin stitch portion is done, and I'll show you how I use the wet glue to put my 5-inch squares onto the fabric base. So that's what we're doing today. Go ahead and grab something to drink and a little snack, and we'll spend some time together today. As you can see, I have all of my squares ready to go, and my applique pieces are laying on each one of my backgrounds, and we're ready for the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. A6 is completely blank, so we're just going to set that background to the side, and we're going to get started with our puzzle piece B6. Here are my 2 pieces that are already cut out and ready to go, and the placement for these 2 pieces will be really simple, and we're ready to start gluing. Again, just using the Elmer's glue wall. I'm going to apply a small bead of glue all the way around the edge of my applique piece. This doesn't have to be perfect or nice and neat. And you can see I'm not exactly right on the edge, but I'm close to it. So once the glue is all the way around the perimeter of the piece, I like to come in and just put a little bit of glue throughout the inside of the piece, just like that. And now we can line this piece up onto the background. And this one lines up to the top left-hand corner, just like this. Just like that. I'll go ahead and just push that down a little bit, and we'll glue this one as well. Again, gluing all the way around the edge. And I'm not using a ton of glue, just a little bit all the way around. Just like that. And then we'll fill in the center a little bit. And the reason I don't go all the way to the edge, because when we push this down onto the background and when we press it to dry the glue, it will spread out a little bit and come to the edges. And now this piece lines up right on this outside edge. You can scoot it up just a little bit. And just like that, there's the 2 pieces for piece B6. Let's bring the iron in. Just dry that for a second. So my iron is set on the highest cotton setting, and we're just going to dry that glue. And really that only takes just a few seconds. And again, once the glue is dry, you can stitch right through it. It's not going to gum up the needle on your machine or create any problems there. We'll let this dry or cool off for a second. Now if you've used a lot of glue and it's really squashed out the edges, sometimes the freezer paper will be a little bit more harder to take off. But you can see It comes off just like that. We'll give it one more quick press just to flatten everything out. Make sure that glue is nice and dry, because I plan on stitching right away as soon as I'm done with all of these pieces. And just like that, we've used the wet glue. It's still very pliable, a lot softer than using like a heat and bond product, but the edges are really, really down. So there's piece B6. Let's go ahead and move on to piece number C. Whoops, I brought over too many pieces. Alright, so we have this piece right in the right hand corner. Again, small bead all the way around. Fill in the center a little bit. You can even use the nozzle of the glue bottle to spread stuff around if you wanted to do that as well. And this piece goes in the top right hand corner. Just like that. Now we'll come in with, let's see, this would go right there like that. Let's go ahead and do that piece. A little bit of glue all the way around. Fill in the center. And then I'm going to take the nozzle and just push it right to that little tiny corner tip right there like that. And this piece is easy to line up because it aligns with the bottom and the right side. Just like that. We'll push that down for a second. And for this piece, to make sure I get it all lined up, let's go ahead and line that up with the puzzle piece. So there's that edge, and there's that edge. Just like that, we can see where our piece goes. Get some glue on there. So you can see, even though I'm using a wet glue, I do not have glue all over my fingers like with the glue stick. So for me, this is a lot less messy. So just like that. Let me hold that down so I don't move anything. And just like that, we've perfectly lined up that little tiny triangle of a piece. And now we can dry the glue. So if you haven't tried the wet glue, and that's something you're interested in doing, that is the process. That's how I do it. And I think, again, it's a lot less messy for me. And I will say that the hold of the glue is quite a bit stronger. What I've noticed in using the glue stick in the previous rows, rows 1 through 4, is that some of my corners are lifting, and so I'm going back and re-gluing the corners down with the wet glue now. So we'll let that cool off, and then we can remove the freezer paper like that. And like that. I love that color combination. That's going to be a pretty piece. Go ahead and make sure the glue is nice and dry. And there is this piece. So let's see how that lines up. Does anybody ever get impatient and do this along the way just to see? Oh yeah, that's going to be very pretty. All right, so there's those two pieces. And we'll do our piece number D, or letter D, together as well. So let's see. I guess that goes and lines up right with the top edge. So let's go ahead and do this piece first. Right along the edge. Fill in some of the center. It is windy today. Push the glue out on those corners. And this one comes and lines up with the top and the left side. Just like that. So there's that piece. And it looks like we're going to need to mark this piece as well. So I'll just give myself some reference marks there, and I'll also mark this side as well. So just like that. Let's do this tiny, tiny little piece. Just like this. Ooh. I have a harder time with the little small pieces. I don't know about you. Alright, let's put that right on this edge. Just like that. There you go. And then we have this other smaller bit of a leaf here. Push the glue off of those points, and then we're lining this one up right with those marks on the right, and there's our perfect placement, and we can dry the glue. So see how simple that is? That is what I've transitioned into. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the papers off of this piece, and we'll see what that looks like. And then we'll pause the camera and I'll finish up pieces E and F. I'll do the satin stitch on everything, and then we'll come back and we'll glue our pieces onto our fabric base together. Ooh, I love that. Purple and green is such a great color combination. And we just have this one little bit left. Let's flatten that back out. And there's our piece for the letter D. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish up these last two pieces, and then we'll come back when the satin stitch is all done, because I believe that you are very efficient at doing that now. And if you do have any questions about the satin stitch, I will put a link to the playlist, and that includes a video for this series that gives you some tips on doing the satin stitch. So if you have any questions and you're just now joining us, a video all about the satin stitch is in the playlist for this series. And we'll come back in just a minute. Now that I'm back, I have all of my 6 pieces ready to go. You can see I've done the satin stitch on each one of my applique pieces. And we're ready to start putting them down onto the fabric base. You see I've moved that over. So this was week 5. And now I'm going to use the wet glue to adhere these blocks down onto our fabric base. Same as before, I'm going to go in close to the edge, not directly on the edge, because that glue will smush out as we press everything down. Just like this, right along that way, and along this side. And then I just go in and add little glue dots all in the center. Just like that. And then we're simply putting it down the same way as with the glue stick, just making sure everything's nice and straight. Just like that. Everything's nice and flat. And I will just let that go for a second. I'll do a few pieces and then I'll come back with the iron and just heat set all the glue dry before I move my fabric base. So here's this piece, and that's going to line up very well, just like that. All the way around. So if you're a fan of the wet glue, if you've used it before, I would love to hear what you think about it down in the comment section. Tell me if you prefer the wet glue or you prefer the glue stick. I know a lot of people prefer not to use glue at all, and they prefer like a fusible like heat and bond, which you could certainly do with these puzzle pieces. You would just need to mirror image your pieces before you trace them. So just like that, we've put glue everywhere. Oh, I turned it around. So we're straight there, and we're straight there. Just like that. I really like the bright green in contrast to these other colors I've used. So that piece will go there. And all the way around the edge. So I'm also curious to know, I know several of you have done the applique portion but are waiting to do the satin stitch until all of your pieces are on the fabric base, which I think is a really good idea. But I also like doing it this way too. So there's glue dots all over. You can see I'm pretty generous with the amount of glue I'm using. And then we're just going to make sure that's nice and straight. I can come over a little tiny bit. And just like that. There's 3 pieces. Let's go ahead and dry the glue. Again, my iron is just set on the highest cotton setting. And it really only takes a few seconds with the amount of glue that we've used to just heat set and dry it. Just like that. And we only have 3 more pieces to do, so let's go ahead and stay together and you can watch as I put these pieces down. So we only have 2 more rows until we are finishing up this quilt. I personally think these weeks have really flown by. Although I've heard from some of you who do your puzzle pieces right away and then have to anxiously wait the whole week before the next Wednesday comes about. I guess that's the only bad thing about doing a series like this, is the waiting. Waiting in between the puzzle pieces. Glue dots everywhere. And even with the wet glue, I only have a tiny, tiny little smidgen of glue on my fingers. That's it. I am a lot less messy with this wet glue. With the glue stick, I'd have it on all of my fingers. I don't know why I am so messy with those things. We'll line that one up. Ooh, those pieces match up really well. There we go. And then we have this piece. I like to double check. I have glued my pieces on in the wrong place and had to pull them up. So now I double check. Glue all the way around. Just like that. And then glue dots all over the place. So if you're just joining in with this series and this is the first video you've watched, I encourage you to jump down into the description box. There's going to be a link to the Creative Crew Facebook group. There are several people who are documenting their art quilt along the way, and so you can see tons of pictures all about this quilt. And what's really fun is that we share pictures of all kinds of stuff. So there's other quilts, and there's t-shirt quilts, and there's crochet and painting and all kinds of projects. Stuff to inspire you if you get like me and sometimes you just really get burnt out or you need some kind of spark of inspiration to get you motivated. That's a fun place to visit, and everybody is so helpful there. If you have questions, you can ask them on that group, and more times than not, there is someone there that can help you. I will say sometimes it might take a day or two to get an answer, and that's because we are all very creative people, and I think we all have our noses down into projects, but whenever we get on Facebook, we check in, and so I've not seen any post that doesn't get some kind of reply, and I really like and appreciate that about that group, is that usually someone does come in who can help in some way or another. All right, this is our last piece. I can tell I did not starch this brown fabric. It's a little wobbly. There we go. And just like that, there's the tip of the flower. And let's go ahead and heat set and dry that glue. Just like that. So I'm still deciding on which type of material or yarn I want to use in between all of my rows. I do know that I want to do something, and I have a couple of favorites, and I just haven't decided which one yet. And there we are. There is row number 6 all in place. Now I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to put it right here so that you can see all of the rows 1 through 6, all in one place, because this will not fit into the frame. And that's where we are. So I do invite you to share your pictures of your quilt over on that Facebook page. And before we go today, I've had a lot of fun. We've only got 2 more rows, and so I'm really excited about getting this quilt top finished. Let's go ahead and take a look at the package that Ann sent me. She was so sweet. I did not expect this, and I do a lot of junk journals, and I had also asked about postcards around Christmas time, and so she was out in her travels, and she had a store that she found these in. I've already opened and looked at them. But these are old postcards dated the 15th of July, 1952. I guess that's a 2. Or 1951, 1957. Well, they might all be 1957. I have a hard time reading that. But these are old postcards that she found, and she got them for me and sent them. And how awesome would this be in some junk journals? Look, some of them even have been sent through the mail and have postage on them. I think that is super awesome. And they all look the same, just about, like they were from the same company, but they all have different dates and different writing on the back. Ooh, a pink stamp. And this one was typed in another pink stamp. So let's see the ones with stamps on them. Ooh, there's a yellow one. Aircraft parts. Isn't this just the neatest thing? I was thinking almost of saving these for the next time we do a journal kit, because I would love to share them. There's no way I would ever use all of these myself, even if I put one on every page in a journal. So I think that, oh, there's 1952. These would be so great to include in a journaling kit. So isn't that really fun? This was such a great surprise, opening this package and going through each one of these. But yes, there are a ton of them. Tons and tons and tons of them. So somehow I'm going to share these. Ooh, there's a purple stamp. Yay! Purple's my favorite color. We'll put that one on top. But I just wanted to share this because it was something that surprised me, and I had a lot of fun going through each one of the postcards, just reading all the writing and the dates. And what a great find, Miss Ann. You seem to have an eye for finding these unique little treasures while you were out and about. So I am going to put these aside. We are packing up all of my craft room type of stuff. All my stuff from my journaling is getting packed up yesterday and today, and a couple boxes the other day, because we are putting the house on the market and looking for a new house. So I'm going to put these in my last box for my craft stuff so that they do not get lost in the move. And when I get settled into my new space, I look forward to doing something with these, sharing them somehow, either in the mail or in a kit. So thank you so much, Anne, for sending these to me. And it was just too great to not share with everybody. So yes, thank you so much. All right, I am off to work on a t-shirt quilt, and I guess we will see you next week for week number 7. So start thinking about, if you haven't decided, if you're like me and undecided about the materials you're going to use, if you're going to use anything at all in between your blocks, and because we have 2 more weeks before we're making a final decision. All right, we will see you all next Wednesday. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.